We have both made mistakes.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Cinema Bros. Netflix has come up with great web series this year. But in today's video, we will discuss about all the highly rated thrilling series. Yes, there are gonna be some series that you might know or watched before. Previously, I made a video about Netflix's newly released top 15 series. You can also check that video. But today we are going to see some of the most highly rated thrilling web series on Netflix. So, without wasting any time, let's jump into the video.
Plata o plomo.
In my history of scared, this is the
Q, directed by Greg Berlanti and Sarah Gamble. Told from the perspective of self-proclaimed romantic Joe Goldberg, you follows his quest to find the perfect girl. Joe goes to great lengths to prove his love to the women who catch his eye throughout the series. He's willing to stalk, kidnap, and murder to get them to fall for him. As much as you don't want to root for someone with such questionable moral standards, the series makes it hard not to hope that things work out for Joe. Through voiceover narration, we get to hear Joe's thoughts and how he rationalizes his actions. Badgley brings a charm to the character that makes him attractive and likable despite everything we watch him do. Like Joe, he gets more and more unhinged as the series progresses. The deaths get bloodier, the cover-ups get complicated, and the breakups become deadly.
Till death do us part.
We're looking for an artist.
Archive 81, directed by Rebecca Sonnenschein. In Archive 81, film archivist Dan Turner is hired by the mysterious company LMG to restore footage on videotapes that were damaged in a 1994 fire. As Dan makes his way through the footage, he uncovers a mystery surrounding their owner Melanie Pendras, the Visser apartment building in New York, and the ritualistic cult that she was researching. Things get weird when Dan starts to see a demonic figure in the footage and discovers that he is able to communicate with Melanie in 1994 after watching them. Is the apparition of Melanie a ghost? Does watching the tapes open a portal to the past or another realm? Is Dan simply losing his mind in the isolation of this project? Check out Archive 81 to see just how wild this horror thriller series is. You won't regret it.
Please find me.
I'm signing you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mom.
Bodyguard, directed by Jed Mercurio. Game of Thrones star Richard Madden essentially got his James Bond audition in this thrilling BBC miniseries, which became one of the most watched programs in modern British television. The intense espionage series follows a series of attempted assassination of the enigmatic Home Secretary Julia Montagu, who was assigned a new bodyguard after her fiery speeches court public controversy. Madden gives a star-powered performance as Montague's new personal protection officer. He's a former veteran suffering from his trauma, and he's unsure about Montague's plans for international combat. With only 6 episodes, Bodyguard is a quick watch, but there's no shortage of twists and turns along the way.
I crossed the stars in a colony ship before stacks were invented.
Altered Carbon, directed by Lita Kalogridis. Based on the books by Richard K. Morgan, Altered Carbon is set in a far future where consciousness is digitally stored, and you can change bodies as easily as swapping clothes, if you have the money for it, of course. This cyberpunk series has everything you could want from an action thriller, and its premise allows for a ton of experimentation. Altered Carbon has 2 seasons and an anime movie titled Altered Carbon, received currently available on Netflix. Joel Kinnaman plays the protagonist Takeshi Kovacs in the show's first season, while the Falcon and the Winter Soldier star Anthony Mackie essays the role in the second. Kovacs is a man who has been everything from soldier to freedom fighter to a private detective, and his conflicted nature provides the bulk of the series' emotional weight. But make no mistake, this is a thriller through and through, with complex conspiracies and twists you'll never see coming. Money Heist, directed Alex Pina. One of Netflix's most popular crime thriller shows, Money Heist is a high-tension heist series with powerful emotional beats and intricate strategies. It's a show that's so well-written you can't help but fall in love with even the most unsavory characters on it. Since its initial release in 2017, Money Heist has become a phenomenon, inspiring massive public response around the world. The humor and dramatic tension of the series are balanced with social and political criticisms that have really struck a chord with people around the world. Money Heist is by far one of the most successful shows Netflix has ever brought to screens, and every episode is certain to leave you hungry for more.
we get started?
Ozark, directed by Bill Dubuque and Mark Williams. This award-winning series dives into the underworld of a Missouri town and explores the intense dramatic incidents that are set off by the show's main characters. Jason Bateman stars as Marty Byatt, a financial advisor who gets involved with a Mexican drug cartel and finds himself in over his head. Laura Linney plays Marty's wife Wendy, who has to deal with the fallout of her husband's desperate decisions. With 3 critically acclaimed seasons on Netflix and a 4th and final one on its way, Ozark has plenty of great content to offer its legions of fans, both old and new. Squid Game, directed by Hwang Dong-hyuk. The hit series that inspired a million memes and an explosion of costumes, Squid Game is more than just a pop culture craze. It is a sharply written exploration of class inequality that cuts deep. It is all built around a survival game where a group of unsuspecting adults are given an invitation to compete in a variety of children's games for cash. The catch is that if you lose, you die. While this may sound familiar to a whole host of other similarly premised stories you've seen before, it quickly makes clear that it is both a great deal darker and more creative in its execution. Grounded yet gruesome, it shows how desperate the world has become for those at the bottom when left with limited options to survive. Visually vibrant and tonally grim, it is a show that remains one of the better things the platform has created in recent memory. By the time it all comes to a close, the impact it leaves is both insightful and indelible.
It's not easy butchering people.
Mindhunter, directed by Joe Penhall. In the late 1970s, the FBI formed a behavioral science unit that interviewed convicted serial killers to understand the mind of a criminal. Mindhunter is the story of that unit. The series is based on Mindhunter, inside the FBI's elite serial crime unit, a 1995 true crime book written by John E. Douglas and Mark Alshaker. Mindhunter weaves fact and fiction together, with the stories of real-life serial killers thrown into the mix. Netflix has 2 seasons of Mindhunter available in the US, the first with 10 episodes and the second with 9. The show focuses on the early days of criminal psychology, and many of the characters are based on real people. Mindhunter is a great watch, both for thriller fans and for people with a love of history and true crime, not to mention cinephiles. The series is executive produced by Charlize Theron and David Fincher, who directed 7 episodes and essentially served as showrunner on the series.
One more thing.
Narcos, directed by Chris Brancato, Carlo Bernard, and Doug Myro. Whenever someone starts talking about the best shows on Netflix, it's inevitable that they'll bring up Narcos. This highly influential crime story is the story of Colombia's drug trade and the D agents who have tried to shut it down. It's a story of conspiracy and betrayal, crime and punishment. But first and foremost, Narcos is the story of Pablo Escobar, the billionaire king of cocaine. The plot of Narcos was inspired by real events, and that just makes it even more enthralling. With solid acting, a brilliantly scripted plot, and hauntingly beautiful music, Narcos is one Netflix show every thriller fan should watch at least once.
What we were in for.
Dark, directed by Baron Boodar and Jansch Fries. When it comes to mind-bending sci-fi thrillers that shock your very understanding of the universe, Netflix's first German-language original series Dark is one of the best things you'll find on the streaming service. With 3 critically acclaimed seasons, Dark is a go-to show for fans of the thriller genre. The series is a must-watch for viewers who enjoy intricate plots involving complex science and twisted interpersonal relationships in equal measure. Set in a town called Winden, Dark is a multi-generational mystery that covers various time periods and uses a number of classic science fiction concepts. It's an intense psychological drama that deals with 4 families and the otherworldly conflicts that rip them apart.
Und das Ende ist der Anfang.
There are some other movie-related videos on this channel that you can check if you want. And after all, if you like our channel, do subscribe. So, that's it for today. See you again in another new video. Until then, stay well and stay healthy.